The birth of Dabi and what made Endeavor's son turn into the monster we currently see was not only the heaviest content I think My Hero has seen ever, I also think it delivered the overall best episode of the anime to date, and there's a lot of great moments to choose from, but as someone who loves the emotional, who loves those just absolute stab to the heart moments, this one hit absolutely perfect for me. And to see the full picture, which My Hero has done a brilliant job at showing us over the course of these 6 seasons the story in general from multiple characters' perspectives. And when you look at the family as they stand, this isn't all fresh knowledge, or it isn't these vivid memories as the viewer just got an entire episode to remind us of the entire trauma package, the full picture. For us, it just makes everything feel so fresh and just, holy, how can we deal with this? These are characters who have dealt with this for years and have more or less either come to terms with it, have accepted it, or at the very least understand that even if they'll never forgive Endeavor, there's bigger fish to fry than him himself, because whether they love him or they hate him, Endeavor is one of the people they need in order to have a shot at defeating the 10,000 people who escaped from prison, the 130 some odd horrible, powerful people that they need to defeat, and just to see what actually caused the full thing to occur. This episode wasn't playing, man. Now, before we jump any further, do gotta mention full live reaction is available on the Patreon, so if you want to see that, consider supporting. But yeah, 130, I mean, it's a pretty big milestone. I think, honestly, just to know that I've been following this show for so long, over year after year. Hell, I actually read the first 10 chapters of this manga when it initially first started up, before knowing that I would love watching it as an anime. But to see how far it's come, and to look at the Todoroki family and the complexity of the entire situation, man, like, we've known the overall abuse, we've known the overall trajectory of how everything happened, but to have it compiled into one episode right after the fact that in 2 days, they literally reconfirmed this, in 2 days, all the prisons, all this chaos, the shattering of hero society, the multiple heroes quitting, this all happened 2 days. This is society a moment away from everything shattering to the point that any villain could walk up and say, move, and probably the general public wouldn't even bat an eye anymore. But the fact that they decided to direct in this way, which is another reason why I'm so glad that all this content got pushed to season 6 rather than having season 5 maybe be split up and naturally how it would have been in terms of they just followed the natural pacing of the manga. Because season 6 not only has been the best season of My Hero, it also just feels like it's the most structured. It gives the most emotional weight to these moments, and to see the full package, I mean, poor family, man. Just to see the whole concept of trying to make that perfect hero, right? Someone who could naturally compensate so the flames could go on and seemingly forever. So you marry the mother, of course, but then the firstborn, even if the flames are technically stronger because he has a more natural resistance to the cold, it unfortunately burns his body. I wasn't really sure at first why, because this was really early into the episode. We see Dabi crying blood. I was like, man, like, why is he crying blood? And throughout the flashback, we see how many times he cries, and he's always like gushing, like he's a very crying kid, like he's a very tearful kid. And after the big flames, I mean, just the fact that his eyes were so damaged that now he cries blood is just, you feel for it, you really do. I mean, if my general hunch is anything to go off of, they definitely wanted to make it seem like Endeavor eventually will sacrifice himself, because, I mean, there's no way a character like Dabi is going to just change heart and become nice. I think he's too broken for that. But I could easily see a point where Endeavor maybe does some form of an attack to not only take himself out, but also Dabi as well. I mean, something like that could definitely occur, and if they go that direction, that will be absolute pain, but maybe it's the only way for a character like Endeavor to feel like he can finally rest, because, I mean, it's clear he doesn't forgive himself, and half of his family doesn't either. The other half are kind of tiptoeing on the idea, but as we see from our boy at the end with his hand, like, when you're done crying, let's work together. It's one of those situations where you already know there's going to be sections of the fandom upset that, like, how dare this abusive piece of trash be able to get a pass or anything, but that'd be ignoring what's actually happening. This family, they've been dealing with this far longer than any of us anime watchers have, and for them, this is reality. And different people in this family will have a different interpretation and feelings. I mean, some of the brothers will look at it as, I'll never forgive you. Others will say, you know what, I've changed my tune. And a character like Hawks, as an example, as a bystander, looks at his own regret with his own family and sees Endeavor as a way that you can redeem it and you can have that second chance. Everyone has a different opinion on the situation, which is acceptable. And as I always say, really the only people who can ever forgive are the people who have been hurt by this, and it's up to them. It's not up for someone else to put their morals on it, right? But the thing that this entire episode and this entire situation has tried to get across is that whatever you feel about Endeavor in this situation, you can't do it without him. That he is one of the crucial keys. All Might's no longer around. He is the number one. And with Best Jeanist, Hawks, and Endeavor, the top three heroes, that's kind of your last fighting force right now. Deku is currently down for the count. The mystery for them of why they're after his ability, of course, is something that they're interested in. But I mean, there's not a lot of fighting power left. And I mean, that press conference, whenever they eventually have it, I imagine a lot of things will be thrown at Endeavor, or there will be a lot of very bad things said, whether truthful or not. But at the end of the day, whatever you feel about his character, this episode was saying, we have to stand together. Obviously, it's easier for him to get back up after having his entire family there, but I mean, this is a very complex situation. And the fact that the author wrote it as such, not trying to say like you have to forgive or you have to hate or you have to feel a certain way, I mean, the entire family has a different opinion on the matter, which makes sense given they all had different experiences with him as a father or him as a husband. And I mean, there's certain characters that literally emotionally broke to the point of potentially never coming back, and it's understandable why even she would say, you gotta get out of that bed because we all are responsible in a way for what happened here. And it's crazy to see, but like the fact that in theory, had he gone to that forest, it never would have happened. He never would have died as what they thought happened. But I mean, all things considered, he really did die because that was the birth of Dabi. But I mean, it's crazy because like there's certain people who just shouldn't be a parent. Whether that's because their career takes up too much of their time, or they're just not emotionally fit to be a parent. And Endeavor encapsulated both versions of that. The fact that she had to go through so many births to get to the point where someone was half cold and half hot, I mean, it's pain. It is. It absolutely is. But the reason why a character like Endeavor is one of the most fascinating and best written characters in this series is because the author didn't pull their punch. They didn't try to sugarcoat anything. They made it completely realistic, and given what the current society is dealing with right now, it's such a heavy thing that even if you hate his guts, I mean, you need him. You can say all you want, well, nah, just kill him, toss him in the prison, we can do this without. I mean, no. Hero Society is like one step away from completely shattering, and what an episode. I mean, I think Endeavor's storyline with the entire Todoroki family has been arguably some of the best content that this series has ever shown us, but for an episode that, you know, most of this was pretty much common knowledge outside of the Dabi focus moments, but we've known about the general abuse and everything like that, but to see it after everything we've just experienced, the pacing and structuring of this season is literally second to none. It is so good, and this is the high point of the My Hero story. But thoughts and feelings yourself on this emotional episode. Do you agree with me? It's one of the best, or even the best episode for you? Do let me know your feelings down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Ring that bell if you want to get as many notifications to the channel as possible, and as I mentioned, full live reaction is available on my Patreon. And while you're there, you'll also get yourself a video shout-out. So we got Stephen Thomas, Tech Knight, and Teeny Bopper. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.